You can get these at Walmart, that's what I got.
Yes.
Anywhere
I like these plates. Yeah.
you're hearing,
I haven't lost a pair of these yet.
it's worse than.
Of course,
the-
they're lost the cheap ones.
at least when I go
Expensive
through
ones. It's
the
not this
steam talk there.
This is the Citrus County Planning and Development Commission public hearing for March 19th, 2026. If you would like to join us at this time, I invite you to please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, please give us the grace to be understanding, patient, and tolerant. With these attributes, we can conduct our work in a manner which will be pleasing to Thee, our county, and its residents. In the Lord's name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the courtesy of the applicants, the board, and those around you, at this time, I ask you to please place all cellular devices on mute. The roll call.
All right, the following Planning and Development Commission members are present. Chair David Bramblett, Jeanette Collins, First Vice Chair, Richard Barmez, Stuart Bozeman, Robert Shera, and Kurt Stone.
Thank you. If any person decides to appeal any decision made by the commission with respect to any matter considered at this hearing, he or she will need a record of the proceedings. For such a purpose, he or she may need to ensure that a verbatim record of the proceedings is made, which record includes testimony and evidence upon which the appeal is to be based. During public input portions of the meeting, individuals are given 3 minutes and representatives of an organization are given 5 minutes. When anyone wishing to speak comes to the podium, please complete a yellow form to hand to the recording secretary. Please print your name, address, and the number of the application which you are speaking on the form. The yellow forms are at the podium by the door. If representing an organization, a letter of authorization must accompany the speaker. Comments will be limited to the topic being heard. Please state your name, spell your last name, and give your address for the taped record. At this time, we're going to have an opportunity for the public to come forward to address the commission on any issues that you may wish. This is not for any application being heard today. Seeing none, we have no minutes. Staff announcements?
Yeah, I do apologize. We have an even number today. That was not ideal. We had a member that couldn't attend at the last minute, and neither alternate were available. So our votes hopefully will not go 3-3 today, but we'll see. The county attorney is out, as is Mr. Landon. Either of them may walk in late, but I apologize. I'm kind of covering for both of them today. So in the absence of the county attorney, if we can move on to ex parte communication. If any of you have any ex parte communication on either application, we'll start with Mr. Stone, please.
None. None.
None.
None.
Site visits.
Site visits.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will hear application PUD-2025-00013. Is the applicant present? The floor is yours. Oh, I'm sorry, staff introduction.
Thank you.
I did that last time too, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I have new notes, I'm getting used to them over here.
This request is to modify an existing master plan to allow for additional wall signage for a restaurant and grocery store. This is an aerial view of the subject property. This is the view of the site from County Road 486 intersection. This is the view of the adjacent Aldi and Target. This is the view of the light on County Road 486 with Glory Days in the background. This is the view of the Sprouts Farmers Market under construction. This is the view of the Longhorn Steakhouse site. This is the site plan showing the locations of the uses. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hello again. My name's David Michael. I'm from South Bend, Indiana. More specifically, I'm from SES Branding in South Bend, Indiana. I'm here to represent Longhorn Steakhouse. My associate here is to speak on the Sprouts portion of the application. I don't know if you remember much of my last presentation. It was very brief. I was here about a month and a half ago or something like that. But I just kind of wanted to go through this again, let you know that we have this sign package here. Do you have any?
They have the package in their packet.
Okay, awesome. I wanted to make sure everyone had the visuals. So if we're looking at the first aerial here, it kind of gives you a lowdown of the traffic patterns as you will be going into the site. Essentially, this is a divided highway where you'll be driving along, and we wanted to identify the building in a manner that you can see it as you're approaching, so you don't have to pass the development and then have to turn around, hit the next entrance, and make multiple maneuvers to get into the development and then drill down into the actual parking areas for the Longhorn. Whether you're heading eastbound or westbound, you will need to turn onto the development in an uncomfortable spot for a branding consulting person like myself. The freestanding signage is on the ground. You'll be able to see it, but in order to make a maneuver in time, based off of sight distance calculations that we've done, people will be able to manage once they get familiar with Longhorn being there. But I do want to say there are no reservations for Longhorn Steakhouses. So Darden Restaurants, the parent company, has done studies of how who is visiting their restaurants, and it's about 50% out-of-town people, 50% locals. So a lot of these decisions being made by people to visit Longhorn are maybe a snap decision, or, let's look something up on Google real quick. There's a steakhouse down the road. Let's go. So the freestanding signs, they're on the south side of the property. There's one on each side of the development. However, once you do get to the freestanding sign, you'll need to turn into the development, go past the Longhorn Steakhouse, then drive to the center, and then come in from the rear behind Longhorn. So our sign package has been curated to kind of adhere to the driving patterns that the vehicle or the motorist will have to navigate through. That's why the channel letters on the front, left, and right, we feel are paramount. We have the front door. You need a sign over the front door. Then the left and right elevations are really those main elevations that you'll see as you're approaching the development from the west or the east. That'll help you make a decision to get onto the property quickly. But unfortunately, if you're on the heading eastbound, you'll have to pass the development and then turn at the light, go past the Longhorn, and then come in from the rear. So that's why the sign on the rear is there as well, just helping people find their way to the building as they get onto the property. And I know the steerheads signage on each elevation, those are separate signs, but they're mainly for building architecture. We like to call them architectural embellishments. The elevations for Longhorn Steakhouses are made to house these signs. They have halo illumination for the steerhead. They look very nice on the brick chimneys. But I do want to say, as far as like a logo is concerned, it's not the Golden Arches, it's not the Nike swoosh, it's not Starbucks. Like when you see the steerhead, okay, there's probably steaks being sold there, but it's not screaming Longhorn Steakhouse. So as far as that goes, but if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. And basically that's our reasoning for why we'd like to have signage on all four elevations. It's just the way you get to the building. You'll have to pass multiple businesses, make a 180 or more than a 180 to get into the parking area, and then that'll help you get to the appropriate parking areas, so you don't have to walk through any other parking lots or anything like that for other businesses.
Thank you. Is there any questions? I know that he's doing the first part of it, and he's going to do the second part. I was just going to see if anybody had any questions for the Longhorn portion of it.
Right, so I guess it's a staff question. You're asking for about 3 times the size for the wall signage. If you want it on every elevation, have you thought about maybe doing it smaller so you can do more multiple elevations? Is that an option for you?
Yes, so that is an option. However, I really want to speak on the way you have to enter this development and the adjacent roadway that you'd be driving on in order to get to Longhorn. I've driven it multiple times now. I've been down here for the first time I wanted to present, and now here today just driving the area. It's if you're not from here, like 50% of the customers would be, you're not going to make the turn in time. I almost missed it, and I knew exactly where I'm going. I've been here before, so you just, as you're driving, you kind of get into a lull, or you're paying attention, but you see the Longhorn Steakhouse sign on the side of the building. Okay, I know where I'm going now. And then you get into the development, you turn around, you see the grocery store, you see a bank, another restaurant, and it's nice to, once you lose sight of the restaurant once you get on the development, then you turn back towards all the businesses and you get to see that building signage again. It leads you right to the building. So it's not for all this, like the sign on the rear, it's another sign to show you, hey, if you're driving in from the west side of the development over, it's for wayfinding. This is a busy area with a high-speed split lane highway there. This is for wayfinding. It's not for anything over the top. We have done, we have calculations, decision, site distance, legibility, studies where a certain letter height needs to be a certain size so that you can see it from a distance to make a decision while it's appropriate still. And while the 36-inch letter set here does not quite meet the decision site distance requirements for like perfect legibility, that's never really going to happen everywhere. But we like to mitigate those things for the motorists, especially when you have to make more than 3 turns to get onto the property and past the building. And so that's the story. I mean, the freestanding signage kind of gives you maybe an idea of, okay, it's inside this development, and then you see the building signage, and then you get into the development, you come in from the rear, you relocate the building safely, efficiently.
No other staff questions?
No. Any questions from the board for the Longhorn Steakhouse presenter? Okay, we'll have Sprouts up. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is David Madden from Claremont, Florida. I'm here to request your consideration for a variance on the signage for 2 purposes. The side of the building we're requesting signage on largely goes to the location. We're sitting significantly down low, below the grade there, so we're trying to, people that are coming up along the side, be able to see that there is a Sprouts there. Target has the same package on the side of their building. That's largely for identification. The pasture gate signage in the front is more because we're a very small chain and we are all about health and wellness, so people understand what's a Sprouts. So it's those signs stipulate, they say organic, fresh, healthy, so people understand better what we're there for, to identify us. That's really it in a nutshell. I mean, the signage on the face of the building gives the name, but we just want to be able to identify what we are to the local people, because a lot of them won't know what Sprouts is.
Ms. Katu?
No questions. Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I do.
Mr. Bozeman?
So you went through the full site selection process for both of the locations. Is it okay to kind of phrase this to both of the applicants?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
You went through the full site selection process, and then you went through a negotiation process to open your businesses there. Went through a full design process, which I would assume would also involve an evaluation of the site. So at what point did you realize we need bigger signs?
Well, sir, I'm I'm a senior construction manager, so I take these projects over after they've gone through real estate and development, everything's been designed. So I can't really speak to that point. I don't know, I wasn't part of the negotiation on where on this site we would be. I do know once we know where the site is, we start looking at visibility, access. As Mr. Michael said, I've driven by, I'm there every single week. And it was a concern. I mean, can you see us and do you know what we are? That's our two things. So, we felt the side, an added sign on the side of the building would identify where we are, and then the pasture gates tell people what we are. So we don't want to waste anyone's time coming in, just Sprouts Farmers Market, what's that? Well, it's not just fruit and vegetables. It's a full grocery store, meats, fish, everything. So, but it's also largely wellness and health brands, vitamins, everything to support your health. So we're just trying to communicate that to the public.
Sure, I totally understand. At some point, though, somebody in the organization, if not you, is probably familiarized themselves with the county's sign ordinances,
Certainly.
requirements.
Certainly.
And so, once you got there, like, we need to maybe go up after the fact. Is that what we're doing?
I think, certainly at some point, as I said along the way, we want to get optimal identification and just let people know who we are. So we're certainly prepared to go in if the answer is no, but we're just trying to help the public understand who we are and where we are. So it's a request, certainly nothing approaching a demand, just for your consideration.
Okay.
And I mean, it's the same situation for me as well. I get these, I get a location for Longhorn, and then with Darden Restaurants, we create what we think is an appropriate sign package. Now, as a consulting firm, we can only do so much, but we think that this signage is necessary. I mean, Longhorn Steakhouse is a great restaurant. It's going to employ locals. It's going to drive out-of-town people to this restaurant to spend money here instead of wherever they're from. And when this is a location where Darden is passionate, they like working with huge developments like this. This is a nice area, and we're just here to kind of build a commercial corridor here that can thrive well, while also driving all of this traffic to this development. We want to make sure that we're identifying our buildings. So you can see them from every angle that the motorists would be actually coming in from. They're forced to come in from the left and around the back, and the right around the back. So when you do lose sight of the building, we want to make sure that when you do go scanning again for the building, you're not scanning everything in the built environment. You find the steakhouse again. Okay, yep, there it is.
So neither of you really have knowledge of at what point that decision was made to come back to the county and ask for what you're asking for?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. That's all.
Anyone else?
All right, you're up.
Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Mr. Hockadell.
Good morning. Joe Hockadell, Principal Planner. This application is being requested to allow for an amendment to an existing plan unit development for additional wall signage for two of the specific users that are in this development. And so here you can see this is the layout of the uses that are proposed to be within this development. Where'd it go? One moment, please.
It flashed.
It did something.
There you go.
There we go. All right, let me see here. All right, so here you can see this is the Sprouts location. It's in the main large multi-unit building in the back. And then this is the Longhorn location up along County Road 486. This right here is the entrance that is currently existing at the stoplight between the Walmart and Target. And then there is another entrance down, it's just off this, that is being constructed, I believe right now. And so this development was originally approved. It did have some language in the conditions that talked about signage, but it was really more of the development signage and freestanding signs. It didn't refer, or it didn't have anything in there that talked about the wall signage. So the wall signage requirement would be per the land development code. And what the land development code requires is 1.5 times the linear foot of the building width is the allowable square footage. And so any development that comes into this has that allotment of 1.5 times the width of their building for wall signage, and that can be on any side, and it can be for any wall signage they want. They just have to make all those meet that max square footage allotment. So when we look at the Longhorn, you can see, so this would be the south elevation facing County Road 486. They have the steer on the side there, and then the Longhorn letters. And then on the rear side, facing the Sprouts and the larger building in the back, they have the Longhorn Steakhouse sign there. And looking at the east and west, again, the east side. All right, got a pointer for some reason.
Stop the pointer and just
All right.
describe. How's
Well, so you can see on the east elevation there, they have the letters, and then on the west elevation, they have the Longhorn letters and the steer logo. And so looking at some of the developments in the surrounding area, this is an adjacent development for a very similar type use. This use was able to get all their wall signage within that maximum allowed that they were allowed by the Land Development Code. And so going to the Sprouts Farmers Market, you can see they have the main sign over the door and then the additional signage up on the wall, which is per the applicant to let everybody know like what Sprouts is all about. And you can see the picture there is one that was recently constructed, I believe it was in Ocala. And so it has the wall signage similar to what they are requesting there. And then the picture at the bottom is the existing building currently under construction. And on the right there, you can see they are requesting the signage along the front, and then they're also requesting one on the side. And so this wall sign would be facing towards the target, which is to the east. It's probably really hard to see, but I did some conceptual pictures there to show you what that sign would kind of look like. So there is the first picture under the elevation is from the stop sign right there at the light. So if you're coming from the target heading towards this development, it would be from that stop sign. The picture below that would be right there in front of the target itself, facing towards the Sprouts. And so that's what that signage would look like. There is a fence there blocking the drainage retention area for the target. And there is landscaping there that was just put in when the target was put in, so it hasn't reached maturity yet, but those shrubs will grow to a certain height, and that may block that sign. And so here is, again, a similar use in an adjacent development that was able to meet their wall sign allotment. They do have multiple wall signs, but they were able to keep it within the allowed square footage. And so here I put all the signage that is being requested, and then you can see the first column there is the frontage per linear feet, so this is the actual width of those buildings. And then the allowable wall sign square footage based on that width, the amount of wall signage that they're requesting, and then the amount of wall signage that is additional above and beyond what that requirement is. So the Longhorn Steakhouse is requesting about 182 square feet of additional wall signage above their maximum allotment. And the Sprouts is asking for 200, it's kind of hard to read from here. 236 square feet above what their allotment is for square footage. Any questions?
Any questions from the applicant?
I have.
Any questions from the applicant for the staff?
I just have a comment, I guess.
If you have questions, this is your opportunity. Do you have any questions? No? Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Collins.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding the standard for the maximum square footage allowed, it's 1.5 for each linear foot building of front width. And how do you define front width?
So the front width would be the width of the building for their main frontage. So for the Longhorn Steakhouse, that was the side that faces 486. And for the Sprouts, it would be, since it's in a multi-tenant building, it would be the width of their portion of that building. So it'd be, since they're on the right end unit, it would be the end wall of that building to wherever their unit stops and the next one starts. So that would be the width.
Okay, and there's nothing in the land development code that gives you an option to allow for, and I realize they just have the one highway frontage, but it is in a multi-tenant, it's a large shopping center, and when you consider the Target site, it all runs together. There's nothing that allows you to consider side entrances or any side to give you it. It's just strictly that front, that's it.
Nope, it's that front.
Oh, okay. The next thing I had, and I didn't see anywheres in the report, I know, you're looking for hardship often on these this is a type of variance. The elevations in the highway, that's one of the things, because if you're coming up and you're driving up, I'm trying to think when you're coming from the intersection of 491 and 486 and you're heading west, there is a change in the elevation. You're right, when you get up, that's when you would suddenly see this. You don't have anything that shows that elevation or anything like that, but
No.
okay.
What's your pictures? I think your pictures
Does the
do show
picture
it.
kind of show?
Scroll back.
Of course, the building's not there, so it's kind of when you drive
Right.
that way, I was trying to visualize.
I was going to say the Longhorn isn't constructed yet, so there was no
Yes.
structure to use as kind of a base to.
I'm gonna have
go off
the
of.
chase. The chase is not there yet either. It's kind
Right,
of more closer to the road, and
I don't think any of the out parcel buildings have actually started
okay.
construction yet. So, as of right now, it's kind of hard to tell how that building is going to look based on the road elevations because there's nothing there to look at. It's just
Right.
open ground. But again, the land development code, they can have signage on any elevation they want. It's just they have to make their signage, if they want multiple, they have to share that maximum allotment for all wall signage. So.
okay.
And
Thank you.
just for the Sprouts, we were a little surprised. It's actually down. It was a flat site when this started, and they, for some reason, contoured it, so it's really kind of down in a gully. That I'm not an engineer, you can tell, but it is down. Whereas the Longhorn looks like it's going to be elevated, perhaps above 486 a little bit.
My understanding of how that site contours for the out parcels is the high side is going to be the Chase Bank, and then it kind of contours down as you go down 486 to the west. So the Longhorn will be more on the higher side based on the contours of that site.
Whereas Sprouts is way down as they constructed it that way.
Yeah, I was trying to see where drainage.
I mean,
Usually it starts there's your ponds, and usually you're right. It's going to start going to lower towards the pond.
it's fairly level out there. They've leveled a lot of it, but there is still a little bit of contour. And so it does go for the high point, I think, at Chase, and then it kind of contours down a little bit as it goes west.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Mr. Scherer?
Thanks. Good morning, Joe.
Morning.
Just a couple nuts and bolts items, just building on the previous comments. You have a freestanding building, or Longhorn's proposed to be a freestanding building, and we're, by LDC 9250H2, we're defining only the front width as limiting or identifying what the signage can be for a freestanding building. This is kind of a unique situation in that there will be access points coming from all points on the compass. They'll be looking from the front, but they'll be approaching either from the side or the rear. So so I can understand why they're looking for identification on the rear of the building as well. Kind of unique as compared to Sprouts, which is a multi-tenant building, and they're limited again by their portion of the width of their particular unit. How have we applied this in the past across the street and in other areas of Black Diamond? Have we been consistent in applying this particular standard to all these other businesses?
Yes.
And the other businesses have found a way to work within that limitation by the size of the lettering or the number of the number of signs themselves.
Yes.
And just, it wasn't part of your presentation, but Panda Express and the Walmart site did come before you as well, and they were denied for wall signage. So they tried this, but he did have pictures of Aldi and Texas Roadhouse, and everyone out there, they all didn't have to come back to you for wall signage. This is a little unique, but Panda Express was similar.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? Ms. Collins?
One follow-up, and it's probably in the packet, but a lot of times you have the smaller directional signs that are in the drives. Are they proposing to have their smaller directional signs coming in from the cross-axis that would be to the rear?
They have not mentioned those, but those would be allowed. Those fall under a different section of the Land Development Code for signage. And so directional signs are allowed. There's a max square footage for them, but they can have those per the Land Development Code, and it's not considered towards their freestanding or wall signage allotment. So it's a separate item.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for asking that. That was my next question. Anyone else? Thank you, Joe.
All right.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Okay, rebuttal at the end.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to have the public portion of the meeting. If there is anyone present who would like to speak on this application, please come forward to the podium. As a reminder, individuals have 3 minutes and organizations have 5. When speaking on this application, please address the board. If you have any documentation that you want it be entered into the record, please provide a copy to the recording secretary. Is there anyone present who would like to speak on this application? Not everyone all at once, like the last meeting. We are going to close the public portion of the meeting. We had no public input, so there will be no rebuttal. We'll bring it back to the board for discussions, motions. Mr. Stone?
Yeah, considering the fact that, surrounding businesses have been able to live within the Land Development Code limitations, and considering the fact that we have rejected in this same vicinity similar requests to exceed the Land Development Code, I don't see how we have any choice but to deny this request.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Mr. Barmez?
Well, I agree with everything that Commissioner Stone just said. I think the signage problem will correct itself. If it is a problem, I don't believe it is a problem, so I don't think any of the other businesses have complained after they've opened that the signage is killing their business, so I would not be in favor of this application.
Thank you, sir. I'll follow up after Mr. Barmez. I would just say that I agree with both. I do think that the signage for the Longhorn Steakhouse, that is a very handsome building. I think that signage is very attractive. I will say I've been out to that area multiple times and have patronized a couple of the different establishments there, and none of the establishments that I've seen there have been affected in any way, shape, or matter based on when my attendance of those venues from any lack of signage availability. I do understand the internal access, but as Mr. Hockadell just stated, there will be some internal directional signs. And, most people that are driving around these days are using Google Maps and stuff like that. So it's they're really well directed into these locations, and just in staying in conforming with what we've done with all of the rest of the units out there, I'm going to say the denial of this application.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Barmez.
for the purpose of a motion, the Planning and Development Commission finds application number PUD-2025-00013 inconsistent with the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan and Citrus County Land Development Code, and that this board recommends denial of the application to the Board of County Commissioners based upon the evidence and the testimony presented in the staff report and the conclusions regarding this petition.
Second. We have a motion for denial by Mr. Barmez with a first and a second by Mr. Bramblett. Do we have any discussions regarding the motion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Up next, we will hear PUD 2026 00001. The applicant is present. I saw the staff presentation, please.
This application proposes a planned unit development for residential development. Site lies on North O'Brien Point in Lecanto and is approximately 5 acres in size. It has LDR, low-density residential zoning, and would connect to the existing Citrus Hills DRI to the east. Site would allow up to 6 residential dwelling units per acre. This is looking north on North O'Brien Point, a privately maintained roadway with the application site on the right side of this photo. This is looking south on North O'Brien Point. This is the master plan proposed by the applicant. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Eric Abel on behalf of Hampton Hills LLC, the applicant. This is pretty straightforward. I think the package spells it out very well. We are, in essence, looking to expand our DRI development by adding 5 acres that we had purchased recently, the subject property, just to the kind of northwest corner of our DRI. And we're in the development phase of that area right now for our Parcel C development, DRI. And we would like to, before we begin the physical work, to expand that and include this 5 acre tract as well into our development. We obviously, well, maybe you know or don't know it, we can't put it in the DRI per se, but we're looking to achieve the exact same development standards that we have in the DRI to also serve this 5 acre tract. It's important to note that all the access to the subject property will be internally vis-a-vis entrances off of 491 into our DRI as shown on the site plan. The blue trails, if you will, road access will be internal. It will actually relieve pressure, whatever there is on O'Brien Point, so the access will not be, the residential access will not be via O'Brien Point. It will be via internal of Parcel C. We'll provide internal county-owned utilities with respect to water and sewer as well, all achieved through the Parcel C of the DRI. Nothing fancy about it. Looking to expand basically before we begin the construction phase of our Parcel C. Any questions? I'm here.
Any questions from the staff?
And you've seen the proposed conditions and no concerns with those?
No concerns with the conditions. Staff, I think, properly, looked through it, analyzed it, understands what we're trying to achieve, and they are consistent with what we're looking to achieve as well.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Scherer?
Good morning. I've got a question on item number 8 in your letter, your accompanying letter, where you talk about Ottawa Avenue and Forest Ridge Boulevard access. Where I understand Ottawa access, and that would be on the east side. I'm a little confused by now.
No, it's a fair question. At the time of application, there was a misunderstanding on the procedure as how we could achieve certain things. We're going to address the Forest Ridge portion at a later date. So that portion of the request has been pared out of this request, and it only addresses the subject property as shown in the site plan.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Good catch.
All right. The other is and it's referenced, and I'll come back with staff, but it's referenced the privatization and renaming of certain county roads.
Similarly, we were educated by staff properly that this would not be the best mechanism for achieving that through the PUD. So we have pared that out as well.
Okay.
Good reading. You're right on.
Gives me something.
We'll be back to you for those things. So.
All right. So as you said, the subject property is a property you recently acquired. You cannot add it to the DRI. So what you're saying is you want to develop it under the same standards, conditions, and terms that the balance of the DRI will be developed.
Exactly. Yes. Yes, sir.
Got it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have
Ms.
questions.
Collins?
I note that to the north and the south, those properties have been developed with single-family residences. Can you talk a little bit about, because this is going to become a lot denser than those, even though it meets the extent of what the PUD would allow, the 6 per acre. Can you talk a little bit about the fencing and if you're proposing any buffering or any separation? One of the concerns I have is your setbacks show, even for a swimming pool, it would be 0 to the rear. And so I'm just trying to visualize what the intent would be in developing the lots as it relates to those neighboring properties.
Yes, we expect to adhere to the county standards as far as buffering between the types of uses, the different uses. But in addition, you'll see in one of the requests and conditions would be the ability to erect an 8-foot opaque wall or fence around the property to extra or added value toward the buffering, if you will.
Can you describe what that would be, other than an opaque wall?
It would be, I mean, I don't know what it will be ultimately, but it will be uniform throughout our subdivision. We've have this right as well throughout Parcel C and the 24 acres that we recently added south of the Parcel C DRI property. And we don't know what the property will look like, but, you know, example might be if you've been to Davis Reserve, our property's out there. We've erected a concrete wall on that property. I don't know that that's what we're going with at this point. We're wanting the highest standard for our Parcel C development. So whatever the latest and greatest is will be considered for our use. It basically is intended to not allow visibility through from one property to the other, so the neighbors don't have to look at us, and perhaps we don't have to look at the neighboring property. But it will be to obfuscate the entire view between the parcels with landscaping.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Barmes?
Mr. Abe, I'll just say, on your, where's your emergency exit going to be?
I don't think that's been decided per se. Joanne, I don't know if you happen to recall an emergency exit from a Parcel C. There are multiple points of access, but this might have, it doesn't lose its right to, well, by the fence it will, but in the property itself, as it sits today, would have a right to access O'Brien Point. So if in the future it needs to be some emergency egress, that could be a point, but again, it would be right by residential lots. So I'm skeptical of whether anyone would want it there. But it's about an 800 acre DRI property, so there are multiple points of access to the DRI, all meeting traffic standards.
So by your little blue lines there, that's the access for a fire department to get to your location when there's actually a quicker location or quicker access through Finney and O'Brien Point? If there was a fire or an emergency, medical emergency, that is your blue lines, right? That's the only way they're going to get in.
That will be the developed way in and out, yes, sir. And it's that way you'll see it commonly throughout the rest of our DRI. Parcel B, Terra Vista has similar. There's only 3 points of access into Parcel C or Parcel B of the DRI. And emergency traffic would certainly enter there. We also, through this DRI process, have had to dedicate or donate emergency properties to staff so that they are local and can access the properties.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Bozeman?
Yeah, from part of this is a density request. Is that right? Is that correct?
Yes, to meet this, yes.
Okay.
Just to answer your question, yes.
Just from a practical standpoint and personal observation, similar to Davis Reserve in terms of the density and or is that a higher density? I don't remember.
I think, Joanne, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Davis Reserve is tighter, smaller lots than this is experienced. Each are 40 foot by 100 in essence, or.
Okay, that's fine. That was just a question. And then,
I think we said it here.
oh, that's fine.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, no, that's kind of.
It's good. We expect to put in, good villa type products in this property. Nothing shabby from here
I
on
think,
for Citrus.
yeah, and I think the balance is probably going to be more of an estate type, so this is just kind of a complement.
800 acres, there'll be a lot of different types, but the DRI itself sets out the standards of what can be developed. This is only adding the 5 acres as far as what we're facing today, is just to develop those 5 acres under the PD. And with the utilities provided by the county, we should have, that would be the way the code would ask or allow this 6 per acre.
And with these being privatized roads, that'll be part of a gated community?
That is correct.
Okay, all right,
Private roads as well.
that's good.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I got.
Anyone else? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, good morning. Great questions, guys. I'll try to address them all. The statutes have changed for development of regional impact like Citrus Hills. You can't add acreage to a development of regional impact anymore. There's not a mechanism to do that, which is why they have to come through the PUD process. And I will go over that. This is an aerial of the site. It is completely undeveloped, but as some of you have pointed out, there are houses on either side of it existing. So this is their application. The blue are conceptual only. This DRI parcel C hasn't been developed. Emergency access points have not been developed, and this is their conception. It may change. They have the ability to change. Their DRI does allow them to do that. You see some discussions in there about their access point and whether they're going to use Fennessy and how they're going to abandon roads, et cetera. That is a whole different process than this, so that's why that's mentioned, but it's not actually part of your review. So this is the portion of the DRI that abuts this area. I did my best to put a blue arrow where this would be accessing. You can see right to the south it already does abut all the way to 491 in a couple areas. They are proposing within the conditions, or actually have added in the conditions, a lot of the existing DRI standards. So some of your questions about buffers and about access and setbacks are going to be similar. So condition number 2 proposed says it will not directly access North O'Brien Point. And here's why. This is North O'Brien Point. I'm not sure a fire truck can actually get down there. They're creative, but the turns from Fennessy to O'Brien are not good. And it goes uphill and downhill, and it's in really bad shape. It's a private road. But they do have the option of only emergency access. I'm kind of glad they're taking a lot off of O'Brien, actually, even though it's private. They can install an 8-foot wall, but it says landscape buffer outside of the wall would be provided if they do that. That's allowed in the rest of the DRI as well, and you see that as well. They talked about Brentwood, Davis Reserve a little bit. Setbacks are similar to Citrus Hills, and residential tree standards would be similar. ISR is similar. Expiration date is similar. What's also similar within their DRI, if they want to do multifamily, they have to do a different buffer. This could not be multifamily. It's going to be single family, but they would be subject to the conditions within the DRI. So what you're seeing here is expanding one more area up to 6 units an acre. Yeah, that is a little less dense than Davis Reserve. I can't really jump in the applicant's presentation on that, but it's a little bit less. It is similar to some parts of the DRI, although they do have some areas that can be much more dense than that. You're seeing golf all over this particular DRI. Again, they have a lot of flexibility in the DRI, so it may not look like this at all, but they have a lot of conceptual ideas. They cannot exceed their overall numbers in the DRI, but this just gives them a little bit more flexibility to pop out that one more lot. So there's a lot of conditions of approval, but I think I answered all your questions. If I didn't, I apologize.
Does the applicant have any questions of the staff?
None, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the board?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Barmez?
Joanne, so condition number 2, it reads correctly then?
Yes, the access would be internal and won't directly access North O'Brien with the exception of emergency access. They can put in an emergency access point. They do that at the time of plating, but and fire may want that, but I'm not, again, sure that they can actually maneuver there to a fire truck back there. I think an ambulance probably could.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Scherer?
good morning.
Morning.
when I read through this, I was making an assumption that the conditions that apply to the balance of the DRI would also apply to this new parcel. The applicant has stated that in general that's the case. Is there anything that you see that's an exception to that?
What exception is this has to be single family, 6 units an acre or less. They do have the ability to swap out single and multi in the DRI. They don't have that here. Another one would be that it's strictly going to be 6 units an acre or less and nothing less than that. Other than that is very, very similar. It's central water and sewer. It's got the same setbacks, ISR, et cetera.
So I believe I read in your report, no interchangeability then, just confirming.
Right,
what
this
you
could
just said.
not, this is a single family only area here.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Just for clarification, right now it is LDR, so by right they would be able to do they could plat that at 2 dwelling units per acre.
Yes, they could. They're asking for the 6 under the PUD,
Right.
but they can do 2 right now by right, yes.
Okay, and if
Then they would access O'Brien Point, which not the greatest, but
so, and because O'Brien, you said, and it is a private road, so even with the platting, they would be able to access off of O'Brien. Would they have to do any improvements off of O'Brien?
no, not for residential. They would not. So that road's not good.
But
Yeah.
this would, the request, they would not be gaining access from O'Brien except for emergency.
Right, and that's actually one of the positives of it is taking potential development off there. But today they could do 2. I think they have the frontage to do 2, and they could certainly do 1 house, of course.
Okay, and a single family at this point, you still would not know like what size buffering they would be required to do.
No, it would be similar to the DRI. So if it's single family adjacent to single family, it really isn't much. Although they are talking about a wall, I think that's similar to what they've done on the surrounding DRI period. When it's outside developments, then they abut them, but they wouldn't be required to residential to residential. I expect they will.
Okay, thank you, Joanna.
Anyone else? Nobody? Thank you, Ms. Katu. Okay. The public portion of the meeting will now be open. If there's anyone present who would like to speak on this application, please come forward to the podium. As a reminder, individuals have 3 minutes and organizations have 5. When speaking on this application, please address the board. If you have any documentation that you want to be entered into the record, please provide a copy to the recording secretary. Is there anyone present who would like to speak on this application? No one? We will close the public portion of the meeting and bring it back to the board. Anyone want to start?
Commissioner.
Mr. Barmez?
I don't see any reason why we couldn't move forward. I see a couple little flaws that I think they're going to correct at platting when they get everything platted. I had some concerns with it being O'Brien being a private roadway, and then Mr. Abel's team not being able to help maintain that road because their address would be O'Brien. At this point, it's O'Brien, the alt key, right? So with that, I'm in favor. I'm in favor with it the way it is. I was expecting the people from the north and the south to be here. They don't have any concerns about it on their 5-acre tract, so I don't see a problem myself. So I'm in favor.
Mr. Scherer?
Mr. Chair, I don't see any issues with this. I was specifically concerned that the same conditions that applied to the original parcel C DRI will apply to this 5-acre parcel. I think with discussion with staff, we've discussed that, and by exception, single family only, no interchangeability, which I think that was one question I had. So with that, I'd be prepared to support this.
Anyone else?
I can.
Ms. Collins?
Yeah, so reviewing this, it does meet the test for concurrency, and it is consistent with the comprehensive plan. A little concerned a little bit about compatibility. I know that they're doing the fencing and everything, but to that extent, I would be able to support this.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. Mr. Bozeman? Mr. Stone? No?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Scherer?
for the purpose of a motion, the Planning and Development Commission finds application number PUD 2026-00001 consistent with the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan and Citrus County Land Development Code, and that this board recommends approval of the application to the Board of County Commissioners based upon the evidence and testimony presented and the staff report and conclusions regarding this petition.
I think you read the wrong one, Mr. Sheriff.
Oh, I'm
Because
sorry.
there are
With
conditions.
conditions, I apologize. So let me modify that. Recommends approval with conditions of the application to the Board of County Commissioners based upon the evidence and testimony presented and the staff reporting conclusions regarding this petition. Thank you.
Second.
We have a first in favor by Mr. Scherer and a second by Mr. Barmes. Discussion? I'll say that I am the only dissenting vote, it appears, on this panel. While I don't have a problem with anything that the Citrus Hills product puts out, I'll say that on the last time, I believe it was a different parcel connected to this current DRI that they're working on that was a little bit further to the south and to the east. I voted against that particular expansion, and I'll vote against this one as well. I don't think that they need the additional 5 acres. They have 800 acres there. O'Brien Point is a very low-density residential area. You saw from the photos, it's a very beautiful area. We have single-family residential houses on both the north and the south and across the street. And if I was one of those owners, I wouldn't be satisfied with 30 houses being put in my neighborhood or in my side yard. Just because a PUD will allow 6 houses, it doesn't mean that they should get it automatically every time. That's why they have to come in front of this board. And for me, it is not compatible. With that being said.
Mr. Chair, comment?
Sure.
I recognize your comments and actually had the same concern, particularly driving up O'Brien. But as I look at the back of those properties, they're already abutting the Citrus Hills DRI Parcel C. So they will be their neighbors at some point in the future over the next 24 years. The question that I had, the same as you represented or presented, was they would be adjacent to them on the side property. Having said that, with the addition of the fence, knowing that the DRI Parcel C will be there, and in fact that there was a property owner that sold that parcel of the property under the same conditions, single family only. That was my reasoning to support this.
Understood. I wasn't challenging you. I was just giving my opinion.
This is purpose of discussion.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Stone?
I have to say that I agree with your analysis of the issue, and I will also not be voting in favor of this.
Thank you, sir. With that being said, any additional discussion? Mr. Bozeman, you're the only one that didn't. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
All right, so your next meeting on April 2nd, you have 3 applications. We did have 4, now you have 3. One of them is a new land use district you're being asked to consider, a completely new land use district called Cabot Farm Citrus, so that'll be interesting. April 16th, I've warned you a few times, that is the asphalt plant on Citrus Avenue. We have a tower application right before that, and then the asphalt plant on Citrus. May 7th, we have 5 applications. One of them is the 46 IMA. The consultant that did the other 2 interchange management areas has picked up the pieces left from a prior consultant, and you've seen them before at a workshop. They've got this one ready to go, so that you'll see that on May 7th. We're still scheduling for May 21st, so we already have 3. I wish I could tell you things are slowing down. They are not. So coming soon. We have a lot of stuff going on. That's it.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Mr. Scherer?
Just to help us prepare for the next meeting. The land use designation, a new land use designation, can you just describe in general what we're going to be looking at there?
So you have low density residential, medium density residential, et cetera. This is a brand new one that they are tailoring to meet their development. So I can't say a lot about it because we're not talking about that application yet, but you'll be getting that shortly if they haven't already. But it is to tailor the development. They're far outside the planned service area, so they have to create a new land use district to allow the density and uses that they're proposing.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Meeting adjourned.